Welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. It's springtime, and that means it's time to hatch some eggs. Over a few days, we collected enough eggs to fill this 25 egg incubator. This is a Chicozy incubator, and this is by far the nicest, easiest to use, and best instructions that we've ever had in any incubator. So let me take you through some of the features of this incubator, and we are at day 3 now. And so it's time to take the egg turners out and get the eggs just laying in there. And in 3 days, we will hopefully hatch some baby chicks. So this thing is pretty simple. It's a small tray. It has a little water tray in the front. This has 2 different reservoirs. This is an A reservoir. This is for your normal, your first 18 days. And then the last 3 days, we need to up the humidity. And so we're going to fill the 2 B reservoirs. So it's just water at the bottom that keeps the humidity up in there. The cover here, it does have a vent that you can open as soon as the chicks hatch and you want to let them dry out a little bit. You can open that to help to lower the humidity. And the unit itself is pretty simple. You have a day button here. If you hold this down, it will reset the counter up to 21, and then it counts down to 0. We don't want to do that now because we've been counting down. This lets you set the temperature. By default, it sets at 99.5. I actually bumped this up to 100 because it didn't seem like it was keeping it at 99.5. It always seemed like it was like just a couple fractions of a degree lower. So I bumped it up a little bit, and it's been hovering here between 99.6 and 99.8, which is pretty good. If you hold the up button, it will rotate the egg. They just rotate at a 45-degree angle each way, and this happens once an hour. They rotate back and forth. Now at the 3rd day, the automatic egg turner actually stops automatically, and it puts the eggs in the position that they were, which is right here. So it stops them in the upright position. For the last 3 days, we don't need the eggs to turn anymore, so it automatically does that. And then the last button here, the other down arrow, actually turns on this. It has a built-in candler that turns on the built-in candler. Let's grab an egg and see if we can see anything. You can this works a lot better when it's completely dark out, but you can see that there's something in this egg, and that's a good thing. So I think this one is probably going to hatch us a baby chick. So you can usually tell if there wasn't anything in there at all, you'd be able to see through the majority of this up on the higher end. So you can usually candle the eggs at about 7 days in and about 14 days in, and you can start to see different phases. The cool thing about this incubator is that it comes with an entire chart that shows you what they should look like on all the different phases, which I thought was really neat. And so we're on day 18 right now. And so there's a little, air pocket at the bottom there, and then the rest of it is darker. That's kind of what we're looking at in this egg. So I think this one is probably viable. I'm usually not real big on candling all the eggs because I'm going to leave them all in there anyway throughout the entire hatch period. I'll leave them in there for like 23, 24 days. I've had some hatch really late randomly, and so I'll leave them all in there, and whatever doesn't hatch by the 23rd or 24th day, then I'll go ahead and take them out and get rid of them. But we're just going to leave them all in there anyway. We're not going to really worry about whether we think they're viable or not. So, but the candler is pretty handy. And it's pretty neat to see the different phases of the development of the baby chick and compare it to your little chart, which is pretty neat. I have used a lot of incubators, and this thing is got the absolute best instructions. I mean, this thing goes through every single part of this unit, and it talks about exactly what to do, how to fill everything, what to do on day 1, how to put the eggs in there. There's always a lot of controversy about that. Where to add the water, what temperatures should be, all the automatic turners and candling the eggs. I mean, it walks through the entire process all the way up until the end, hatching day. So it's very, very thorough. It's the best I've seen. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to remove all of these eggs from the turners. With these little turner cartridges kind of pop right out, and we'll put the eggs back in there. They can just lay on their sides. And then we're just going to wait a few more days. We're going to add a little more water to the bottom at this point to make the humidity rise in there. And then we're just going to wait until we start hearing the little pips. We'll get some baby chicks hatching here pretty soon. we had a little early surprise. I didn't think they were ready yet, but we're still technically the last day is in about an hour it'll start. So you can see the other ones have started to pip, it's called. There's a little crack on that one. There's a little crack on that one. Right underneath, way over here, that one. That one's about to, what they call unzip. He's making his way around the shell. And it'll pop that whole egg open. He'll be out soon. And this one's just jumping around on all the eggs that he's helping them out. This is the most frustrating part about watching these chicks hatch, is you just want to help them. I could just move that eggshell a little bit and he could get out. But don't do it. Well, it looks like overnight we've had a few more hatch. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. There's 6, and then there's looks like a couple more getting ready to come out. Well, we have our first batch of baby chicks that have hatched through here. There might be some more that will hatch throughout the next 24 hours. Sometimes different breeds, different eggs, and depending on how they were put in here and collected and all that stuff, they might be a little bit behind. But we've had some that have hatched in here now that they've been in there for about 16 hours, and so I want to get them out and get them into the brooder. It's important to leave them in the incubator for quite some time. You can leave them in there for quite a while. I would say 8 hours, 12 hours. You could leave them in there up to 24 hours is what they say. But you want to let them dry off a little bit, get acclimated, and you really do not want to open the incubator and let any cold air or dry air into the incubator, because if there's any eggs that are the chicks are just pipping through, they just put a little hole in the egg. There's a film that is on the inside of the egg there. It's a protective layer. And what happens if that dries out is it gets real hard for them to get through, and sometimes they can't get out and they die. So you want to keep the humidity in there as much as possible. I'm going to go ahead and try to sneak out all the ones that have hatched in here first. I'm going to keep the lid on. I'm just going to reach my hand in there underneath it and pull them out and get to all the ones that have hatched in the brooder. One thing that is extremely important is it's very tempting to want to help them out of the eggs. Don't do it. Let nature run its course. Let them get out on their own. It's so tempting. You just want to help them a little bit. You see them getting through almost out. They're struggling. You want to just help them out. Just don't do it. They have to do it on their own. If you detach the egg before the chick is ready to detach from it, you'll kill them. If you try to get them out and crack the egg or anything like that around them, you'll kill them. You have to, and if they're not strong enough to get out of the egg, then generally something's wrong with them and they may die anyway and suffer. So you just have to let it go and let them run their course. If you've got them in a good environment, you've got a good incubator, the humidity and temperature are set, they're going to hatch the way that they should. Try to resist the temptation to help. And here is their new home for the next couple days. This is a small Rubbermaid tote. I don't have the lid for it anymore, so I just have a scrap piece of wood here. I'm using a heat lamp. Underneath here is not your normal heat lamp bulb. This is actually a reptile cage or a ceramic heat emitter, so it emits no light, but it's hot. And that just hangs from a piece of wood that I have just screwed to my little kindling maker system over here, a little bin. And this is just in our garage, so it's kept out of the wind and everything. It is outside. This is May in Michigan, and so the temperatures are in the low 40s at night, 50s, and then 70s during the day. But this keeps it nice and warm in there. And I'll probably raise this up a little bit after today, but they'll self-regulate their heat. I don't have a thermometer in there. I'll raise the heater up a little bit higher. If I see them scooching off to the side too much, that means they're getting too hot. If they want to get warmer, they'll get right underneath it at the hottest point. I just have a cheap little water in here and then a cheap little feeder. And I have it all hooked up to my my Bluetti power station. And this is just basically, this is plugged in to AC power. And this is basically just working as a battery backup. Power goes out, the heat lamp will still continue to run for probably almost a day off of this thing. And so that just makes sure that if there's any hiccups in power or anything weird happens, that I can keep coming and checking this every day, but I always know that they have heat, because at this point they're pretty fragile. If it got down to 40 degrees at night and the heat lamp went off, you know, they could potentially die. There is some safety in numbers though. The more you have, the more they'll huddle together and stay warm. So that's always a bonus. We'll probably get a few more hatched out of this batch. I expect to get 2 or 3 more out of this at least. So we'll probably have about 12 to 15 birds out of 25 when we're all said and done. Well, we ended up with 17. We ended up with 17 healthy little baby chicks. We did actually have one that hatched that did not make it. It was sick and ended up passing away about a day after we put them in here, but it's been a few days, and so they're a few days old now. Everything's been working out good. They've got a nice amount of warmth in here still. They've got the feeder, which they've been running through. They start to eat quite a bit of food, and we just keep their water clean. I've got little pieces of wood that keep this up off of the, this one. A lot of times these are the roosters, the most curious, bold ones. That want to run up and peck your finger. They probably be roosters. But I just like to keep the water dish up out of the wood chips in here, and that works pretty good. So they will only be in this bin for another maybe 2 days, and then I'll move them to a bigger spot because they're already outgrowing this. And it won't be long until they're big enough to join their moms and dad. The chickens that we have here are Brahmas and Isa Browns, and so they're a combination, the Brahma rooster and the Isa Brown hen, and the Brahma rooster and the Brahma hen. So we have some purebred Brahma hens or chickens hatched, and then we've got some mixed. Hopefully you enjoyed tagging along for hatching some chicks this year. I have done several videos in the past on hatching chicks in different incubators and different brooders in different ways. It has been the best experience that I have had so far. Let me know what you guys think. Any tips and tricks to add, of course, put those below so that everyone else can share in the knowledge and wisdom of all you out there who have done this before as well. Don't forget to hit thumbs up on today's video, and as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.